Welcome back to another great episode of... Oh my god. Okay, let me do that. Okay. Welcome back to another great episode of More BS.
I'm Chef Babette.
And I'm Shabnam. And today we just hope you are, we love this show because we always think we bring positivity and light and...
And we keep it real. Come on.
That's true.
We just heard something really, really funny, and we really weren't quite through laughing.
But we're also not really ready to share about that.
Exactly. So anyway.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
But really what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is because, you guys know Chef B and I, particularly from the vegan space. But when we talk about veganism, you think of it in terms of health, right? But what about the health of the planet? What about the human responsibility to take care of the planet and where your food choices lie in that?
Wow, that's deep. But that is why I always talk about practicing self-love and self-care, because if you don't love and care for you, the planet is really in trouble.
And listen, this planet is gonna chew us up and spit us out like the damn dinosaurs.
Oh man.
Like the deal is this. We can abuse it all we want, but it is going to eliminate us as a species. Just like as we have done purging. We have done so well of purging so many different species from our planet.
Haven't we? Oh my gosh.
It's embarrassing.
It's sad too.
You know what makes me sad is I remember when I had just graduated college, I was really excited. I had gotten an opportunity to study abroad in Australia. And my parents were like, oh, hell no, that's expensive. So I didn't go, which is fine. But what I was excited about was because I really wanted to see the coral reefs.
Oh, man.
And now after watching things like
Seaspiracy,
and just seeing the impacts that we've had by changing the temperatures of the ocean, by overfishing, and how coral bleaching is now such a thing. And what you're seeing there are skeletons of what was once living, viable organisms.
That's sad.
And we've done that by our human choices.
Ouch.
And so our human responsibility to take care of the planet, it's heavy, it's deep. It'll cut, it'll make you angry, it will make you be like, I'm gonna hold on to my choices. I deserve the right. Yeah, you deserve the right to have a gun. You deserve the right to eat your fish. You deserve the right. But at what expense?
At what expense? I know.
It drives me crazy that people go up in arms about children being ripped away from parents at the borders. But you don't blink an eye when a mother cow has to... Do you understand well, let's break it this way. Let's break down to the physiology, like the science.
Give it to him, Doc.
Do you know when a mammal actually creates milk in the mammary glands?
Answer the question. I ain't the doc.
It happens post-birth. You must have the baby first for you to produce milk for all mammals. So you are participating in a system that literally takes children away from its mothers for you to benefit
drink the milk.
To you to benefit from the product. Because you know what? You know why you don't see it as a problem? Is because
that is so selfish.
It's because that's the voice of the oppressor speaking. When you side with the oppressor, that is a problem beyond belief. Your ego has taken over, and it is fighting to stay alive. But
sweetheart, what about the ignorance that goes along? Maybe the fact that some people are siding is because they've been misled. I mean, all my life I've been hearing commercials about how milk does a body good, and
I love that. Did you know that? Legally, you can have about, I think it's 7.5 cc's per 100 cc's, 7.5 cc's of pus for 100 cc's of milk. I think that's the correct quantity. You're legally allowed to have 7.5 cc's of pus per 100 cc's of milk that is consumable by humans. You're allowed to have infected body fluids in your concoction because that's what the USDA allows, because there's antibiotics and all sorts of preservatives put inside of it so that you hopefully don't get sick. Which is why there's such a concern for raw milk, because you don't boil off these processes with heat and by using antibiotics in case there is some sort of infection that may have seeped into the byproduct of an animal. So my question is, do you think about what you're doing? And so
No.
if you have such a problem with one species or one type or people going through an issue, like separating families, abusing children, but you're willing to do that to another species, we have a very big problem. We have a significant cognitive disconnect. And I don't think you hear Chef B talk about this stuff a lot because, people come to her for positivity, but it doesn't mean you don't think about this stuff. Doesn't mean you don't.
I mean, I know that we're all responsible for our planet home, but what you're saying is enormous. But how many people really view it that way when we've been taught for so long that we need the product for our human?
Milk does not do a body good. It says it's fortified with calcium and vitamin D. And the reason why that is because calcium is not absorbable into the bone, into the muscle cell, without vitamin D. And so your food, your natural product, is actually being induced with vitamins and minerals to make it foreseeably usable as energy for you. And that's what bioenergetics is. It is taking in food sources and breaking it down into energetic sources, our mechanical energy. How do we actually have the energy to make our bodies work? So the things that you think you're consuming are not natural. So when you think that, plant-based meats, they're processed, well, so is your meat, and so is your milk, and so is your cheese. And so as much as you want to fight about, I'll never have lab-grown this or that, well, I don't know what to tell you, because the stuff that you're eating is already pretty lab-grown. Dirt. Like Dirt 2.0, but anyways, but another aspect of the disgust, and also, did you know that, I think they said chicken, if you watch What the Health, our dear friend David Carter was a producer on that, and he was actually on that show, on that documentary, that chicken, all forms of chicken, has 80% of fecal matter, 80% infected. So the reason why we say you have to cook your flesh is because it already has so much toxicity, bacteria, antimicrobials, antifungals, preservatives, antibiotics in it that you have to burn it off, and you are still consuming it.
Yeah, because most of us don't think about what we eat. And from the time we've been children, the powers that be have told us all of this stuff is good for us. So we don't give it any other thought. I thought everything in the supermarket was fine to eat. I thought if our government agencies approved it, then it's okay for human consumption. Do you know how many people feel the same exact way? I when I'm in line at the supermarket now, most every single basket has beige, the colors, beige, the blood from the meat. Nothing's green. So it's, people are not being nourished and they're being poisoned, but they've been taught that they need the poison.
Let's hit that mark.
That is really mean and hateful.
So she talks about the government choices that be. So when we're talking about government interference or influence, we're talking about things like the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture.
Thank you.
How many of you actually know what the USDA does?
Talk about it.
What are they responsible for? And here is an organization that has been telling you, because they monitor the quality of food. They do. How many of you guys remember the food guide pyramid?
That's the one I'm talking about.
Or My Healthy Eating Plate.
Oh my gosh.
These are organizations telling you what you should be having to eat that makes you live a very healthy, long life. Well, here's a very interesting statistic. The USDA put out a great information pamphlet in 2020 saying that over 79% of American consumers are confused about what they should be eating. And what's funny is, well, isn't that their job to tell us what we should be eating?
Right.
So what is that saying that they're doing? We're confusing people.
It's me.
So how many of you are confused what to eat because you've been hearing things in the media, your cultural story time after time that chicken is healthy,
Baby,
pork is bad,
you can
red meat is bad,
you can
white
read,
meat is good.
You can read comments whenever like a lot of the comments on the ritual, you know, the pieces of the video that he decided to post on his IG page. And there were a few people that were battling back and forth, had nothing to do with me in the podcast. They were battling back and forth on whether or not veganism is really as good as they say, or is eating that other way much better for the human species. They're going back and forth on that. If we're having this argument, it's because we're ignorant. We really don't believe that plant-based is going to keep us alive because of the lie we've been told from the time we've been here. And that's why, Shop, I love this information that you're sharing. And hopefully there will be a few people that get it and understand it and look it up. Do the research yourself. But we got to do something.
Listen, my problem is not with indigenous tribes or people raising their own cattle. Like if you want to have your own goat and you want to raise your own chickens for your own own eggs, eat it.
There's a difference.
Traditional ways of animal agriculture are not sustainable. Not for us, not for the animals, and not for the planet. But here's the deal. You want to raise your own chickens, crack their heads, and skin out their... Do it. But I guarantee you, when you pay to have other people's hands get bloody for your 10-minute meal, that is the problem. That is you taking no absolute responsibility for the planet or your own personal health choices.
And the planet can't handle trying to feed all these millions and millions, billions of people a dead cow. It's not feasible. We can't do it properly. We can't. And that's why it's just a hot mess right now. And when you mentioned overfishing, that's a sad state of affairs too. No ocean, no us, for sure.
Oh my God, the lack of biodiversity is detrimental to the planet. It's detrimental.
And all the overfishing and all of that stuff, there's nobody, no government agency overseeing that stuff.
You know, Dr. Silas Rao, who's creator of Vegan World by 2026, has done an exceptional amount of research. He's a systems analyst. He's brilliant. And he was basically like, we need to have a vegan world by 2026 because if we don't, that's the turning point that if we can't go back from. And so we're looking at things like if we continue down this road by the age of, those of you that want kids or have kids or about to have kids, by the year 2050, it's estimated that we will not have access or may not have access to fresh water. And I don't know about the way you think about you may want to live, how crazy things are now. People like smashing and grabbing, stealing. There's a lot of violence. Imagine when you don't have access to natural resources, particularly in a country like the United States that has been a #1 leader in the world in terms of accessibility. Think about what's going to happen here.
Right.
I don't want to live in a world like that. And so my current choices are now proactive and preventative, right? Not just preventative in my health, but preventative for a future that I don't want your children or for you to have, ever.
And do you feel like you've given up a lot?
Fuck no.
Thank you. I don't know why people feel like they're giving up so much.
I do want to say I had that fear.
You did too.
I did. I had that fear. You know what my biggest fear was when I went vegan was that I was afraid I was going to drive by Taco Bell and just want it.
I drove into Popeyes and was in the line
Oh my
to
gosh.
get my biscuit, my wings, and my gravy. and something said, "You don't eat like this anymore." And I drove right on through the drive-through. But I swear to God, I did it.
You are not alone. We've all done, we've done that thing. We've had that fear. But here's the deal. When people say, oh, I'm not vegan anymore.
Yeah, what is that?
You were never vegan, because vegans don't stop eating meat and dairy because we stopped liking the taste of it. We stopped eating meat and dairy because we connected the dots.
Yeah.
And when you are a conscious individual and you choose not to ignore the facts, which means you choose not to be ignorant.
Right.
I want to live my life with a legacy that I choose to live it ethically and with morals. And I do that as a vegan. It guides me in this lifetime. I'm not a great person all the time. Don't get that twisted. I'm not fucking perfect. But I will say that I try my best to do my best. And the best way to do that is to stop allowing for violence to happen when you could be the person that stops it by putting them on your plate.
I love that. So true.
Baji always says that, compassion really always starts on your plate.
Oh, I love that too.
And it's
so
it's the easiest choice, because it really leads me into, do your food choices reflect selflessness or selfishness? Like, are you...
Whoa.
Does your plate reflect being selfish or selfless?
Wow. Wow. Well, I know what my plate reflects.
Colorful.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying, it doesn't, you guys, it changes. You don't, once you start ingesting nutrients, you don't have a desire to eat so much.
And let's talk about that, because it does really not only impact you physically, but mentally as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you find, I found that I got a lot less triggered.
Oh, yeah.
No real road rage. I just there were lots of things that I realized, wow, I'm not ingesting the kind of catecholamines, the fear, the norepinephrine, the epinephrine.
You get all of that.
You eat that.
You eat all of that.
In the flesh.
All of that. All of that.
Because they're mammals, or, or fish, or whatever you're eating. They have that kind of response. And so you have to wonder, when we talk about energy, we take bioenergetics, we take food energy, and we break it down to mechanical energy. So we burn it off through exercise, right? And that exercise, mechanical energy, can also radiate into heat energy. And so what you see is that a transference of energy happens through biological systems. So when you are eating biological systems, that transference of energy does happen.
I love the way you break it down. I love that.
So what can you do to stop it?
Wow. Change your mind.
Or raise your own, eat your own, and take your own ownership into being able to take a life of something else. And if you feel like you can't do that with a good conscience, then you should probably stop paying for somebody else to do it for you.
Oh my God, that was, dang, Shab, you went hard, boo.
I love you guys.
I love them too, but I love that. Thank you. Hey, you see who got the floor right now, because she's on point.
I'm ready for the comments. You want to hate on me? That's fine. But that's your own stuff you got to work on, guys.
Wow, I love it. That's perfect, Shab.
So, I think...
Yeah, I think so too. You did good.
I think we all did good. And also, but can we talk about really quickly, why eggs are so expensive now?
I don't know too much about eggs, so
Supply and demand, right? Supply and demand. Well, we don't have the demand is there, but the supply is not, due to an increased viral outbreak.
Oh yeah, okay, I did hear something about that.
The bird flu.
I did, yes.
Right?
I heard about that.
Right.
Yes.
So what you're seeing here is that we're having a zoonotic disease occurring in what you consider food, and you're getting mad about the fact that we don't have enough because they're being killed off by disease. That's like saying, yo, I'm a cannibal, I eat people, but I'm pissed that they all died of COVID and now I don't have my meat. What the heck is going through your mind that you would prefer to maybe possibly not eat an infected bird? And then you're like, oh wait, but I want their eggs. Something about eating a chicken, period. And then calling it protein and then debating about its cholesterol level is so off-putting that you're not even considering that you're eating a chicken, period.
And that's exactly what it is, chicken, period.
The ovulation.
But
and it comes out of a
this is
butthole.
love. This is love. No, this is love. Yeah.
The only way I started stopping that behavior is because I started researching what it was I was eating.
Thank you.
And I really loved honey. I loved it. I loved the sweetness.
Vomit.
But then I was like, oh, it's actually
regurgitated nectar that is for the bee. It is for the bee. It should not even be ingested. It should not. A baby can't even ingest honey. Yeah, it's not good for them.
Have agave. It's from a cactus. It's so sweet and it's so delicious.
And just the process by which humans extract the honey, get the honey, is so hateful. The smoking, all of that, it's abusive.
And honestly, honeybees often work seasonally, right? But there's been evidence about bee farmers loaning off their bees to different areas, to different countries, to different states.
For different climates.
For different climates. So now they're working year round. They're exhausted. Like you have problems with paying slave wages. You hate slave labor. You hate child labor. But you're okay with doing the same exact things to bees. And let me tell you, when we destroy that animal,
we're done.
We are done as a human species.
Not 2 years ago, the bees were already. Remember, there was an issue with bees and
major decline.
Yeah, it was horrible. Anyway,
and so when you start talking about, I was reading this thing on PETA because I did this great collaboration with PETA, and they do the work that I can't do. It's very challenging, that animal abuse stuff. So I think the greatest message here is that when we talk about food choices reflecting your selflessness, your selfishness, your ego, or is it eco, that in your life we want you to lead with empathy, not sympathy. To live in someone else's shoes, to live in someone else's flesh, to live in someone else's being.
I loved it. Thank you, Shaw. This was good, boo. I'm glad you gave them some of your stuff today. Anyway, thanks, Joe.
Just a quick reminder to leave your comments below so we can address them in our next show. Like and subscribe to Vegan Corn Hub.
Please.
And we'll see you next time.